Hello and welcome to Almost 30.
Hi, everyone. It's Lindsay and my bestie, Krista.
We're surrounded by a piece of shit staff. Our boy, I knew it. My psychic gifts are used when people aren't up to par. No, just kidding. We were just talking about the rapture all morning.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good.
When this comes out,
it's
we'll
already
be
over.
on.
Yeah, right. When this comes
we'll
out,
be in heaven.
Yeah, literally. Not sure where y'all will be. I just gave my life to Christ today.
Oh, my God. We were also talking about...
Guys, we were on Netflix.
We were on Netflix, everybody.
This is
we
huge.
didn't know it was going to happen, but it's finally here.
We were in another Netflix thing once, like in a little clip. I forget.
What was that? That was...
Yeah.
What was that?
I know. I'm going to think about it.
Okay. So I sent this video to Krista because I was watching this documentary called The Royal Rebels, an something love story. But it's with a former guest of ours, Shaman Durek. And it tells the story of his love story with Princess Martha Louise of Norway. An uncommon love story, I think it is.
Is it Marta or Martha? I think it's Marta.
I think it depends on if you're Norwegian or not, how you say it.
It's like Ibiza. Ibiza.
But I thought it was actually really well done.
Cool.
It was super interesting because the Norwegian culture is especially like self-effacing, like you can't have ego, like you are not special, you must blend in, like it's very much that. There's actually a term for it, I forget what it is, but it's this term that basically describes that and describes how you as a Norwegian should be. And he basically goes against every one of those things. Shaman Durek is bigger than life. Mm-hmm. He is very much himself. He admits to having a lot of ego. He is, does stand out no matter where he is. So the press put him through the ringer. It was actually, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit because I know he's a human being. You know what I mean? Like is
he though?
He's
in our clip.
He's only part human being. Yeah. In our clip, basically, I was not prepared. I did not know we were on this Netflix special.
I thought I told you.
You told?
Yes.
No.
I sent you that. I was like, people have been DMing me.
No, he's like, you're like, have you seen this? And I said, not yet.
Oh, because people were DMing me the clips of us in it. They're like, you guys are in this documentary.
Okay.
So we're in this documentary. We were in another documentary in someone else's podcast. I need to figure out what that is. But Shaman Durek's like, basically, he's like, I'm Andromedan, I'm a reptilian. He was basically giving us his alien profile. And we were just like little like
we did not.
We look like little graham crackers.
Yeah, we were just like
in our old studio with our headset on.
I remember thinking, just be cool. Like this is normal. This is the spiritual world you're in now.
Yeah,
you can't flinch.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a clip shared because the press was digging through all of the podcasts he's ever been on for all of this information, the kookiness, or what they would describe as kookiness. So I was just shocked to see our 2018 little faces on the screen.
God, I know. And I was praying with every cell that they didn't catch a word out of my mouth.
No,
because I would have been
we didn't say a thing.
I would have been like, I'm Arcturian.
But I think they would have had to, if we spoke, I think they would have had to tell us.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
That makes sense, I guess.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's a good one. I think you should watch it. He's also dealing with a lot of health issues, which is really intense. And
usually when people have a lot of press after them, they also struggle with health. Like there's I think that much energy at you.
Of course.
You have to have a lot of protection for.
Of course. So
we made Netflix.
Wishing them all the best. They had their royal wedding of their dreams.
You know what's so crazy is like I could like change a woman's life and like help her like reconnect to her soul. And my mom would be like, okay. And if I sent this to my mom, Facebook will know. Like this clip of us on Netflix
100%.
Will go on the Facebook page and she'll be like, look, my daughter's famous. LOL, kind of.
That's like my dad. My dad would be like, wow.
Yeah.
Send it to all his colleagues.
Yeah.
Make sure you watch this.
She'd be like, but my mom would also do like the backhanded. You'd be like, well, you aren't talking. So, you know what I mean? Like, She'd be like, yeah, you're famous, but like you're not talking, so it's not like, anything. And you're like, yeah, okay, I know.
You look different now.
Yeah, honestly. She'd be like, oh. Oh, what's this? What's this about the way that you look?
Oh, holy moly.
So that's our journey and our testament. We finally made it.
Yeah, we made it. Thanks, Netflix.
We made it. I'm so excited to share with you this episode today.
We had such a good time.
So much fun.
I'm so glad we were with him in person. I don't know how it would have gone any other way, but
I know.
we just had a good vibe. I feel like
we had all dudes that week, I think. Almost
all.
all.
That was nice. Yeah. It's a good energy.
I think I've said this before, but it's very weird. A lot of times when we've interviewed dudes, the audio gets messed up.
Oh, yeah, in the
it's
past.
happened with like 6.
Don't say that again.
Many of these. It's cancel, clear, and delete. But this is going to be so much fun on dating and relationships.
With Benny Hart, baby.
Benny Hart, baby.
You know him, you love him. He's someone that like
I love him.
When I first started, you sent him to me, and I was like, oh, how refreshing. Because I think like I'm not on TikTok, but I can imagine, and definitely on Instagram, there's just so much dating advice. There's like just such a barrage every day of like, this is what you should do if you're single, if you're in a relationship, this is how you make him fall in love with you, this is how whatever. And I just feel like his combo of comedy and like genuine truth,
I agree,
from his perspective, really kind of like knocks you out of your psychosis when you're dating.
I mean, some other dating advice is from like 21-year-olds in their basement.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is what you do, ladies, to turn on your magnetism and make him go crazy.
So, he's a dating coach, content creator, and author, known for his no-nonsense, humorous, and lovable approach to navigating the early stages of dating. And he has gone viral both on TikTok and Instagram. And his Dating with Purpose coaching program has been incredibly popular. So he empowers daters to stop sitting on the sidelines and to start taking charge, running offense. I love the dude like energy behind the description. Running offense, embracing losses, and leading with the best version of themselves when the right connection comes along, which is so true. You know, to get to a place where when the right connection comes along, you can also like be yourself, the most confident, grounded,
and receive it,
clear version of yourself, and be able to receive it as well. It's harder than you think.
I think his is more female empowerment than a lot of. It's interesting because his perspective seems more female empowerment, empowering to women to speak and not lead, but speak and communicate needs, or like kind of step forward. Then I think a lot of the women dating is more like do nothing. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Yeah. Wait, what does sprinkle, sprinkle
Have you
mean?
heard of her?
No.
She's my everything.
Wait, who's that?
She's this woman on TikTok. She's like TikTok famous, and she does like dating advice to help women get their lives fully funded and paid. So she's like full provider. She's like, this is how you get full provider. Like,
yeah.
She'll do Q&As on there, and they'll be like, my man says he wants a natural baddie, and he wants, a woman that has no work. She's like, I like natural money, honey. She's like, but some of us aren't born with it. So some of us, and she'll be like, sprinkle, sprinkle. She'll be like someone ask a question, they'll be like, he's really rich, but he's not hot. She's like, get you some contacts that don't even work, honey. She's like, you got like mess up your eyes. You got to do it. It's just like
you got to do what you have to do.
It was just like it's another round of like dating advice, but his is so practical and grounded, funny. I like crack up.
I know, same.
I think he's the Theo Von of dating. That's my like tagline for him.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's I think for me that's like an amazing thing to say, but
I think that's
and he was amazing in person. Also, he has a live show for everyone that's in New York. I'm really excited that you guys can go to the live show happening. It's going to be so much fun. I'm in at that time, so I would be going if I was here.
I will be there. 10-9.
I'm jealous.
October 9th, 7 p.m. at Somewhere Nowhere. We'll link the tickets in the show notes here.
Yay.
But it's going to be Benny Hart in his first live event, which is really, really cool. So modern dating, hot topics, Q&A with Benny, live on stage consultations, meet and greet. It'll be fun.
I can guarantee that most of the women there are single and they'll be looking to
100%. I'm like, which one of my single friends wants to come with?
Well, they're also going to be looking to date our boy.
Oh, yeah, of
When
course.
you're a male dating coach, I mean, this is just my perspective and opinion. It could not be true. I'm just saying.
I think it's true.
Yeah.
Well, because he's a good-looking guy.
Very.
Yeah, like
my boy looks
confident. So, but it'll be fun. But thank you, Benny. We had a blast.
You can find him on Instagram at Benny.
At Benny Inc. on Instagram and same on TikTok.
Okay, guys, if you want to find more dating and relationship episodes of Almost 30, you can go to Spotify or Apple and search Dating Relationships Almost 30. We have so many great conversations with some of the best in the biz on this topic. I love talking about this topic. It's been so much fun. So enjoy this. We will see you on the other side.
Bye, everybody.
I'm so happy to have you.
I'm really happy you invited me on. I'm really
happy
happy to be here with you
We're
guys.
super jazzed.
I've heard about you, I think, months ago from my friend Natalia Benson, who had a session with you, a one-on-one. She's
Yes.
like, he's amazing, da-da-da-da. And when she told me that, she's like, he's amazing. He's a dating coach. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I was a little hesitant. And then I found your content and I found you. And I was like, just so refreshed and impressed because there's a part of me that sometimes feels like men use like being a dating coach to like subtly get more women and kind of be perceived in a certain way. But I feel like you're so truthful and honest and clear and funny and like helpful in like a real genuine way. And so I was really excited to bring you on because so many women in our audience, they're dating, they're single, they want to find someone. And I feel like there's so many perspectives that you bring that are just like fresh and interesting. So I'm excited to talk about that today.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because the funny thing is, I've even told Kristen a lot about like this is why I don't like to be called the dating coach because it kind of has a stigma attached to it. It's like
Totally.
the trainer.
I'm
you
a
know what I
life
mean? Like you
coach,
have this
bro.
thing.
Help me.
Oh, yeah, no, but that even more so too,
Worse.
right? Like there's a stigma attached to it. You're like, okay, dating coach, give me a break.
honestly.
Okay, then just watch it and see if it's helpful for you. I
Yes.
don't really know. I don't have any angle with it. My kind of mantra, if I would have one, would kind of essentially be like, if I had a sister, how would I say it and what would I say? And every time I do it that way. I don't utilize it to get a specific light shined on me like I'm the nice guy. I'm
You'd
definitely
be a
not.
fun big brother.
Yeah, I think I'd be a little fun as a big brother. Yeah, I agree with you. I think so. I won't hope for a sister, but here we go.
So what brought you to this work? I'm always so interested, in your own experience. Did it inspire it? What
Yeah,
brought you
definitely,
here?
right? Like
Yeah.
I think that if I was like 24, I don't think I'd be able to talk about dating. Like it would just be like, okay, these are all theories that you read and shit you read in a book. But like, I've had 20 years to date in New York. I'm from upstate in Poughkeepsie, which is like an hour and a half drive.
Yep.
So I've been down here for like 20 years. And, I use a lot of my personal experiences and just in general, right? Like, especially over the last 2 years, I started creating dating content like 2 years ago, specifically dating content. I didn't want to be that guy. I came from like the personal development realm. And, I did some work with Deepak actually for a little while. And then I wrote a book. And then, it's like general personal development stuff. It's called the Zero Mindset. But then as I started to kind of niche down, what I really was interested was like the intricacies between men and women, mostly heterosexually, but also like the dating world of like the intricacies of the first couple months, which is what we refer to as dating now. And I was like, do I really want to be that guy? And then, the first piece of content I created around dating kind of got more, I was at like the 400 viewpoint, and then like I created one. Maybe it was the delivery, maybe it was the niche, maybe it was a couple things, but that got like tens of thousands. The first one I was like, oh, something's there. So then I just did like 5 or 6 a day for like a year.
Wow.
On TikTok specifically. That's where my main audience started to grow.
Yeah.
And it was just something, like you know what it feels like when you get into like a flow state with something.
Yeah.
Where whatever, there's some things that like I've worked my whole life and I had to work so hard to get this. And then like, I use my experiences and talk about the things I really like to talk about. And, all of a sudden, like I could just I can create 4 videos, no problem. And it's just like, I have to like plan it out. I really don't.
Efforting, yeah.
And that's just it feels like a flow. So I just kind of was like, well, I'm not going to ignore it,
Totally.
And then through that experience, I started to offer sessions and one-on-one stuff. And listen, I like to think of myself as more of a strategist, in that sense, because, and I don't mean trying to play things by the book, but in some sense, making adjustments to get specific outcomes you want and seeing the signs. So I started to create content around it quite often. Then I started to do a lot of one-on-one sessions, and then I started to do the live streams, and then those combined, now I obviously have a slightly different perspective than when I first started because I get to talk to so many, mostly women. 90% of my audience is women. And then I started to get a different perspective on the intricacies of the problems that they were facing in specifically early stage. So I don't touch relationships.
Okay, cool.
And I don't touch marriage
Okay,
at
cool.
all,
Yeah.
actually. So I stay away from them. As if I talk to a girl, she calls in, she's like, "Hey, I've been in a relationship for 6 months." I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't touch it. It's not my cup of tea."
Yeah, you're like,
I stay away from that.
You're like, sister,
I only hear
talk to
one
your man.
side. Yeah, it's not me.
Yeah,
All right, I don't know who
that's
it is.
interesting. Only hearing
it ain't
one
me.
side of that.
That's a
part
good
of
one.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, because when people are in a relationship, sometimes they're looking for things from other people, like whether it's ways out or
For
ways in or
sure.
whatever it is, some kind of confirmation or validation. And I can't do it. I just can't feel comfortable telling them anything because it's just I don't want to have any hand or responsibility in what she does next. I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and she'll be like, "Hey, so he told me that you should be actually taking me on dates."
Right.
I remember when I was younger in relationship, I used to do that. I'd be like, "Well, my friend said that you should be not," you know what I mean? You'd like,
Totally.
you'd bring like the whole gang in to like prove your point because you like couldn't be strong enough to like actually prove your point.
When it comes to wellness, I'm a little bit of both. I love my cozy, familiar routines, but I also get excited when something fresh and new comes along, I love to test it out. And that's exactly how I felt when I tried Kachava's new strawberry flavor. I was like, strawberry, really? But it is so good. It's bursting with real freeze-dried strawberry, and it tastes like summer in a glass. And I just love a fresh strawberry taste. Sweet, fresh, and actually nourishing. So what I love about Kachava is that it's not just a protein shake, it's a whole body meal. Each shake has 25 grams of plant-based protein, 6 grams of fiber, and 85 plus superfoods, nutrients, and plant-based ingredients. Think adaptogens, antioxidants, greens, omega-3s, basically all the good stuff your mind and body crave. It is also ridiculously easy too. I throw 2 scoops in the blender with almond milk or regular milk and maybe some frozen banana. And in under a minute, I've got this creamy filling shape that keeps me energized and satisfied for hours. So whether it's breakfast on a busy day, a quick lunch between calls, or something to refuel after a workout, Kachava fits right in. And honestly, tastes amazing. So the strawberry, I'm loving. It's really next level, but I also love their classic flavors like chocolate, vanilla, and matcha. There are no artificial flavors, no weird aftertaste, just pure goodness. You've never tasted strawberry like this, so try the new one. Go to kachava.com and use code almost30 for 15% off your next order. That's KACHAVA.com. Use code almost30 for 15% off. Okay, so let me paint the picture. Growing up, my comfort foods were always the same. Okay, I remember them vividly. Warm Hawaiian rolls at family dinners, a bagel on a Sunday morning slathered in cream cheese, and of course, giant bowls of noodles. I loved this like cheesy sauce that I used to get at the grocery store. But the problem is, as I got older, those foods didn't always love me back. That's why I am obsessed with Hero Bread. It lets me keep my favorites without the sacrifice, and my family loves them too. Their Hawaiian rolls are my number one. They're soft and pillowy, exactly how I remember them. Delicious. Their bagels, so good. My son also loves them. And these products have 17 to 19 grams of protein with only 1 gram of net carbs per serving. I am blown away. And now, Hero noodles, they're here. Honestly, been a game changer. They've got 12 grams of protein, 5 grams of net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and 32 grams of fiber, plus 60% fewer calories than typical noodles out there, which means yes, pasta night is officially back in rotation over here. And no one at the table can even tell the difference. My husband did not tell the difference. What surprised me most is the texture. I thought healthier bread or noodles would taste dense or cardboardy, but Hero Bread is fluffy and chewy and satisfying. The noodles are yummy. It feels indulgent, but it totally fits with my health goals, whether that's more protein, more fiber, which I am on a fiber kick, or just having meals that like are incredible and also healthy. And they don't just have like typical bread. They have tortillas, bagels, dinner rolls. And they have exciting drops, like batch drops, like the 2 gram net carb croissant, which, like I'm speechless over these. I got to try them once and now it has a 23,000 person wait list. Okay. I'm signed up for the next one. The bottom line is Hero Bread means no compromises, just delicious bread, rolls, tortillas, bagels, and now noodles that give me everything I love about my comfort foods, but with 0 grams of sugar, high fiber, and ultra low net carbs. If you're ready to skip the lettuce wrap and get back to soft, fluffy bread that loves you back, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Just go to hero.co, that's hero.co, and use code A30POD at checkout. That's hero.co, and the code is A30POD. A30pod is the code for 10% off your order.
So you mentioned women's, like what women are struggling with right now. What would you say some of the main things that women are struggling with right now in dating?
communication being number one.
Yes.
My personal opinion. Because I think, listen, I think everybody would love at some point to share their life with somebody that's worth sharing it with. I don't think that's, most people really do want that. I just think that there's this phase where it's like after the first 2-3 dates that they get a little confused about how the guy is perceiving this. And then everything is kind of like taken in a very sensitive manner. Like, like the 3 hours he didn't respond, and then the 5 hours the next day is a really big deal all of a sudden. I'm like, why is this such a big deal now? I get it, because maybe you've decided that there's some emotional investment that you have with this guy that you like, and now everything you kind of become ultra sensitive to, and that tends to happen until the commitment thing where you could feel more secure. But that's really where I see most of the problems that I get calls in on, which are after date 1 or 2 to like all the way up to when if there is ever a commitment in that thing. And
in that situation, like say it's been 2 or 3 dates, we're vibing, but it's been, 8 hours since you texted me last. What is the communication that you would coach someone on? Is it reaching out to them, being clear about what you expect?
Yeah, listen, I think if it's like
hello, I expect a reply.
Yeah. If there's like a couple hours, you know what I'm saying? And like, listen, I think that if this happens once, I'd tell you, get a hobby, you know what I mean? Like at some point, you have to find a way to keep yourself
100%.
busy in some capacity. But if this becomes a problem
Get a job.
If this becomes a problem and you are like invested into this person, there's no problem with pulling this person aside and just straight up telling them, saying, hey, listen, I appreciate where this is going, but just for me to feel a little bit safer in this, I'm just looking for more consistent communication when I'm considering something like a relationship. But if that's not where you're at, if that's not what you'd like to do or what you can do, no problem.
Yeah.
I think that then you kind of you put it on the table. But if you don't put it on the table and somebody maybe is not used to your form of communication or doesn't like to, or whatever the reason is, then they can't look back and say, I just didn't know. You should have told me. Well, yeah, of course. Why not? So I think that there's this friction of like miscommunication or no communication that I see happening.
Yeah.
Because it's like this unknown factor about when he does something that's off, or you're trying to look for the flag somewhere, and you probably were going to find some, and that's one. So I just kind of overly went on one. And the other one that I tend to see happen is there's like an overconsumption of information that is slightly paralyzing and draws a narrative on the story about what it is that you're going through, that whenever you feel something, you just go to TikTok. Like, you can get your problem solved, or you can have a deeper understanding of something. And that in itself, I think, is like the
and now with chat,
sole biggest issue.
Yeah. Like people like define, it's like you kind of put someone in a box and sort of like already like try and figure it out and then place them there. Yeah. And I think it just doesn't allow humans to be in relationship. I know the relationship content, my friends will sometimes like send me stuff. I'm like, I don't want to see that because how do I know that they know? You know what I mean? There's just so much that I think women, especially because women probably consume more of the relationship content. We can even look at your audience.
Sure.
So it's like they're just arsenaling themselves with so much information that men are not. So
they set them up to fail.
Yeah, and they share a lot of it, right? It's not it's the consumption and the like. You see that? Check that out. You know what I mean? And she's like, so this is like this.
I've had my guy friends be like, my girlfriend just sent me this ChatGPT thing about our relationship.
Oh my God. Jesus. Yeah, so I think the content game is really interesting. I think how it like pushes people in a direction, especially like the stuff that gets most attention tends to be the stuff that's a little more divisive in its nature and a little more self-empowering, which I love self-empowerment, but like anything else, you get too much of that and you're kind of like living in this world of like, how do I feed my empowerment that I'm keep looking for? Whereas sometimes in this early stage, you got to have a little more empathy too, to like, how do you place yourself in that person's shoes? Both sides, but in general, that's my personal experience.
I think that happened. I think the placing of the empathy too, I think obviously it's a fear thing that women kind of keep that. But I think there's a lot of the conversation, especially in, I guess, more my community of spirituality and personal growth, of masculine, feminine. So they're like masculine, like he's the masculine, he has to lead, and I think what I love about your approach too is that it's like, yes, and I think that women are taking it a little bit too far where they're not really doing anything and it's sort of like hard to read. So can you talk a little bit about how you see that conversation happening around the masculine and feminine?
You mean like between those two, or just in general when I talk about it to other women or
Maybe
men
in general how
general?
you talk about it.
Yeah, I think that especially when it comes around this like highlight of like if he wanted to, he would. And I
Yeah.
understand like he's supposed to take the initiative and pursue. By the way, 100%, yes, he is. But I think on the other side, that really doesn't get discussed, which is like there's a lot of encouragement around that of like he needs to take the lead and he should be doing that. And yes, he should, by the way. But you have to understand the other side too. Like if he wanted to, he would. Yeah, but he kind of has to want to. And part of him wanting to is part of the reward system you give him for when he does the smallest thing. And if he's not getting that from you, you can't use this if he wanted to, he would anymore. And, I always say the same thing. I say, listen, if this was your brother, if this was your son, what would you tell him to do? If he reached out to a girl and she was just like, okay, he should, and he does, and he's supposed to, but not right now, it's too early for me to give back. What would you tell him to do? And that puts him in a different position of thinking, being more empathetic to like, well, how would you tell him to assert his masculinity in these early stages? Because I think obviously these terms get tossed around, masculinity and femininity. And I think that sometimes it's kind of an excuse to be passive and not do anything. And I'm like, well, listen, I think that for any good dude who has a good character and good heart on him, I don't see it working as well when you're just like, you kind of have to like give him the keys sometimes. That's why I talk a lot about flirting and just being available. You don't have to drive the ship. Just give him the keys to the car. You know what I mean? And that's this phrase called it's called give the keys to the Kia. And I like to use these little buzzy words, but essentially it's like you don't have to drive the car. I'm not asking you to do that. Just give him a reason. You know what I mean? Hey, I might look forward to I'm looking forward to get cute Saturday night, but depends. These things. I know some girls say that's doing too much. How's that doing too much? You're literally giving him every reason. If he doesn't take advantage, he doesn't take advantage of it. There's no L to be taken.
I think so many people are worried or don't want to be rejected too. Do you find that with women?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like
definitely.
in that moment of like having a little flirtatious comment, worried that the guy is not going to respond. I think guys have that same thing, in approaching women.
Sure. Yeah, they do. I think guys are just a little more like,
fuck it.
I would say comparing them to women, I would say they're much more desensitized to like the L of rejection when it comes to approaching or getting a shutdown. I do notice that, yes, a lot of women I've spoken to are much more fearful of an L because maybe it's a little more impactful for them, that maybe it diminishes in their head their self-worth, or they might not be able to sleep for 2 days after a little bit of rejection, so and I can see that. But a part of that, I think, for me personally, what I would do is like reframe the story about what this really is. And sometimes that story that's attached to what you're doing can really create a whole biological response in your system that doesn't necessarily have to be true or make sense, but if you kind of redo the story in some way and saying like, listen, I'm like, even when it comes to flirting, a lot of girls will be like, oh, I can't even look at the guy. Like, I can only look at the guys I don't like. Like, okay, you can only look at the guys you don't like. Tell me how that's going to work out for you. But reality, sometimes there's this fear of the rejection. If I look and he doesn't look, I mean, does that mean that means he didn't like me and I liked him? It's just like this weird assertion of ego into this conversation. But in reality, all you have to do is, why don't you create the narrative like, listen, I'm just going to be a pleasant, nice person. If you're that, why does it have to be so flirtatious? That's just the art of flirting. It's just being available and open and, putting yourself in that position to even just have a conversation.
I started flirting with everybody because I was like so afraid after my I was dated someone a really long time, and I was like so afraid to flirt with people. So I was like, I'm gonna flirt with like every Uber driver, every barista, the Air One cashier. Like I was like, I'm gonna talk to it, just like open my energy to like be available for any energy exchange, so then I could be like a normal person.
Practice.
Yeah, it was just like practice.
And nowadays, that's how to like win the chessboard. Like, especially as a woman, like the way to win the chessboard is just to be like, you guys will like lay rugs out for you.
Oh no, I'm like, if an Uber driver doesn't ask for my number at the end, I didn't even do my job. Like, I like go home with it. It's an L.
And you can always reject it because like, okay, guys are gonna get used to it. That's no problem. But like, they have the ability and the optionality to be like nice and friendly and open and like see what happens of it. Like I think that fear of even doing that or giving the wrong signal to a guy, like forget about wrong signal to him. Just
I used to think about that too. Like I remember we had this guy on the podcast a while ago, and he was just like, I don't know why I was like in such a weird old paradigm, but he was talking about women. He's like, yeah, it's just a really beautiful woman. I love being around beautiful women. He had like a wife and everything like that. And it wasn't weird, but it was just like he loved to be around beauty. And I was like, oh, it's like okay to be in engagement with men and not be like, oh, I'm going to hurt his feelings if we're not dating. Like I used to have a perception that if I flirted with someone, I like felt bad if I was letting them, I was just going 50 steps ahead of where the reality of it was, where it's like we could enjoy this and have fun and engage and just love this moment, and that could be it.
Yeah.
You know?
And, by the way, guys also think the same. I know a lot of girls think that, oh, guys just
They
want to
do.
sleep with me. They
That's
just
real.
want to sleep. That's why.
That's real.
I understand why they think that, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not unempathetic to that point of view, which is like, yeah, of course he wants something from me. But I'll tell you, like, a lot of, like, just even in general experienced guys, but like even some of my closest friends are like, I just wanted to be around girls. I don't care about doing it. I just like to be around their presence sometimes. I just think that doesn't get discussed as much. They just think, oh, no, he's out to get something. Okay. And maybe he was, but there are plenty of guys out there that just want to be around you because they actually like enjoy the back and forths.
Yeah.
And that sometimes it's like those little back and forths might be like the only thing he might have gotten all week.
Yeah.
To the point of like kind of future tripping, I feel like women are definitely more prone to do that. And it can kind of take us out of like just getting to know someone for who they are in this moment.
When you say future tripping, what do you mean?
Like when I was
story time?
dating for a long time. And when I would sit down for a date, probably in the first 30 minutes, I had already gone to, is he going to be a great father? What is it going to be like when he sits down with my dad? Like crazy, like future, kind of running it through that filter of like, is this possible? Rather than like speaking to the person right in front of me, getting to know them as who they are. Do you find that women are doing that now? And like, what would you say to people doing that?
Yeah, I think women do it more than men. I think men do it too, by the way.
Okay.
They think they do it differently depending on the phase of life.
How do
I
they
think
do
the younger
it?
they are, the probably less likely they are to do it.
Sure.
But like, definitely like guys on first dates and that are around the point where they feel like they're ready to start the next chapter of their life are looking at her being like, well, what would she be like as a mom? They are saying it might not be what it's going to look like next week with it, but they are thinking about it.
That's why I set up kids around. So kids like come up to the table and I'm like, oh. It's like my friends' kids. I'm like, oh, come on.
It's hilarious. Yeah. So
Let me show you.
So I see what you mean in terms of like when they describe
Is that a
certain
bad
things.
thing? Is it a not like?
I think it has its pros and cons. Like I don't necessarily think it's obviously it's not bad in nature, but I think the overplay of it gets very bad. That's what I see.
I think a trend that I see, or you can tell me if this is right, but I feel like what I see a lot from the women that seem to engage with your content is that they get so little from men and they're making so much meaning out of it. Do you believe that's true?
Yes. I do believe that's true, but I also believe the opposite's true. They can get a lot from good men and not even notice it.
That's a good one.
So I think that there's always that, right? It's like the guys they want, they can get a little bit from, and they're willing to use the list that they developed about themselves about what they won't accept, and they toss out the window. I've noticed that too. So, they have the list for the guys that like they're willing to like, does he fit this? But then like the guys they like, it's like, oh well, maybe let's push this aside for now.
So real.
Let me not look at this for a moment because I just
That was me when I first started dating. I was like, oh, he has a terminal disease.
terrible.
That was fun. That was a fun time.
Just
terminal
sweep it under the
disease.
rug.
I was like, I can help.
But there was some. But
I'll
there was
be at your bedside.
But there was probably something about him that sparked this like intrigue about him.
Yeah.
No? Or what was it? What was the thing about him?
He was funny as fuck. Like we just had. I like when men don't. This is my kink. It's like a problem, but I like being like. I don't like when people agree with everything that I say. Like a little bit of a back and forth. I love a good banter. He's really funny, really smart, and kind of just was like. Wasn't really impressed, but was like impressed enough. But he wasn't my man. But he was just a cool. We had like a good vibe. And I think when I first got out of my relationship, the men that I was dating, it was like, I didn't really expect to start dating again. So I was like, okay, I'm just having chemistry with people, and I think I just didn't really understand that you could have chemistry and not be in a relationship with them. Does that make sense? Like I'd been in so many long-term relationships that I was like, oh, you can actually have chemistry with someone and go on dates with them and have a vibe, but it doesn't mean you need to be in a relationship.
Sure. Yeah. And I can respect that point of view. I don't think it's a common point of view to have, if I'm being honest, that I've seen.
Say
I just
more.
don't. I think, a lot of times specifically from my experience, when I speak to women, they always, when they kind of start choosing a guy, little more consistent, they get very emotionally invested into even the little things. So I just, you know, is chemistry all it could be? When I agree with, I think that's a good framework to think about it, because it kind of also in some point creates like a detachment of a specific outcome
Yeah.
really early, where you can kind of start to just enjoy the moment of like
Yeah.
chemistry. And
I could have
like,
chemistry with a cactus. I'm like, so that's why I had to be like, I'm doing it again. Like I'd be on a date for like 3 hours and I'd be like, I hate this fucking date. And then I'd be like, it has to go 4 though, because otherwise I'm not winning. Like I would be like, I have to
fall in love with me.
Yes, exactly. I was like, they need to
like
text
you.
everybody else after and be like, I'm it. This is
Even though you didn't want anything with them.
Yeah, it wasn't that dark, but there was like I did have to feel like that they liked me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like a goal of yours. He's like,
Yeah.
he's gotta like me, even though I don't like
Win
him.
him over.
I have to win them over, which is like just the pattern of enough about me. Enough about me.
We love that.
So let's talk about friends with benefits. How do you feel about friends with benefits? Because a lot of people I think are doing like being friends with benefits. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's something people can do?
I mean, it's all possible. Is it probable? No. If I'm being honest with you, no, it's not. And it's more, if I'm being honest with you, I just think it's less possible for most women. Because they do call and they always say the same shit to me. They always say, oh, but we started off as this and I don't know, I caught something for him. And of course you did. I mean, not all the time, obviously, but like I think a friends with benefits thing, right, for me is about self-awareness. It's about like, listen, you need to know yourself enough
Yeah, I agree.
to know that how sensitive are you going to or can you be in this moment? Because can you really just take this out and push this to the side if his behaviors don't match expectations of something bigger, but can you deal with it if it's strictly FWB or whatever we want to call it, or casual, or I call it cashmere. But like, same thing, right? Like if that's the case, after 2 months, are you going to say, he led me on, I don't understand? Is this going to be a thing? Because if so, I don't want to hear it at all. You're not going to come on my stream at all.
Common.
That's so
It
real.
is very common,
Dude,
but that's why they call
so
into my
real.
stream and they get a real reality check. I'm like, what are you talking about? You said very early on, this is what you wanted with him. He said, okay. And then all of a sudden he led you on down the path. You led yourself on. And I say that too, because it's important for people to take some accountability.
I think I remember being in situationships, friends with benefits, and being so convinced I would literally make them fall in love with me in the process. Of course.
Yeah.
What do you
And
mean?
I
It's
get
like,
it.
wait till you see this, baby.
You're like, let me be a hoe,
He's
but
gonna
watch me make you
never
dinner.
want to leave you,
Like,
honestly.
People think podcasting is just talking into a mic, but let me tell you, my brain does not shut off when I turn off the mic. Between planning episodes, researching topics, just thinking about the business. Sometimes my sleep gets disturbed, and lately it has been, and I have been leaning on my Beam Dream Powder. It's incredible. I got introduced to Beam's Dream Powder last year, and my sleep has just been so phenomenal when I take it. Dream is an all-natural sleep blend made with science-backed ingredients like reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin, all designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And unlike other sleep aids, there's no next day grogginess, just really deep sleep that helps you actually feel good in the morning. So since adding Dream to my routine, I am finally sleeping through the night, if my son lets me, without tossing and turning, without my mind running. I just wake up actually feeling refreshed, not groggy, not exhausted, just ready to take on the day. And I'm so thankful. And I'm not the only one. Beam has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, and 92% of users surveyed reported better sleep and waking up refreshed. And honestly, what I love most is Beam is an American company built and run right here. So when you support them, you're backing real people making great products the right way. Plus, for a limited time, Beam is giving our listeners their best offer yet, up to 40% off. Unbelievable. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/almost30 and use code almost30 at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/almost30 and use code almost30 at checkout for up to 40% off. In my 20s, I was just financially a little bit unwell. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit with random overdraft fees or had that moment of panic realizing a bill auto drafted before my paycheck even cleared, my younger self would have loved Chime because it takes away so much of that stress. Chime understands that every dollar counts. That's why when you set up direct deposit through Chime, you can get access to fee-free features like free overdraft coverage, getting paid up to 2 days early, and more. Here's what I love most. Chime is banking done right. You can open a checking account with no monthly fees and no maintenance fees. With qualifying direct deposits, you're eligible for free overdraft up to $200 on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. And to date, Chime has spotted members over $30 billion. That is wild. Plus, you get access to over 47,000 fee-free ATMs. That's more than the top 3 national banks combined. For me, I love the daily balance updates and real-time alerts. They've totally changed the way I track my spending. I say that you must look at your finances. You must look at what you have nearly every day. I use Chime, and you should too. Work on your financial goals through Chime today. Open an account in 2 minutes at chime.com/almost30. That's chime.com/almost30. Chime feels like progress.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News and World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
Wow.
There's cookies at the house.
How did that, like, what was your
Oh, how did
experience
that
with
work out
Well,
for
that
me?
too, but what was your experience with that? You know?
Who are you talking about?
I have a bunch. I have one where he was more into me and I was keeping it very casual. And he was a doll baby and I would have handled that differently. The other ones, it sucked because they were invested in the relationship based on the unspoken terms in the exact way they should have been, which was casual, after 10 p.m., like they were playing by those rules and I had signed the contract on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I would get sad or secretly depressed when like we wouldn't go out to breakfast the next day, or he would text me like after he had gone out that night and I wouldn't be a part of those nighttime plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was over and over setting myself up for just kind of this disappointment, yet the connection, like mostly the physical connection, because there was barely emotional connection, was satisfying me in a way because I was able to kind of like satisfy their needs, perform to satisfy their needs. Honestly, I was performing at that age. And then that would give me enough to be like, I think eventually they're gonna fall in love with me. I really do believe it at that age. I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
But it never worked.
Yeah, and I get that too, right? It's kind of like when guys enter the friend zone and girls, and like they just try to be their friend because they think at some point the door will open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like terrible effort, but
It's true.
yeah, they know they do. They do things. They come over. Oh, what can I fix? Like, how can I be there? You want to talk about so and so? Oh yeah, I'm here. Tell me everything. Go ahead. And they do these things when they really know, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And they think they're gonna win her over.
Yeah.
But I think there's some similarity in that. In a sense.
So for situationships, do you think there's any benefit to them? Like, do you think people can have seasons where they're just in situationships? If
Those
they have
didn't
other
exist when
focuses?
I was young.
Yeah.
When did they come around?
It's so recent. I mean, at least the term.
It's so
At least the
recent.
term. But like, you know how
I would
when
like
the
date
internet,
someone. I'd be like, "You're my boyfriend." We'd be like, "Okay, you're my girlfriend."
Right,
Like
right.
it was like you didn't even like you're just we're boyfriend girlfriend.
You know, there was this guy that I was seeing get an interview the other day. It was a French guy, and he was talking about the difference between dating in France and dating in the U.S. And he was like, in France, you know, when we just start seeing each other, and we just assume we're boyfriend girlfriend. Like, of course, we just get into it. Like, we assume these things. He's like, over in the U.S., you have titles, you have things, and you don't understand. He was saying all these
So
things because he
interesting.
didn't really get it. He was like, yeah, I don't get why everybody has this thing over here, but I kind of get it, you know, and I understand why the differences are there. You know, where, you know, when you have like a kind of system here of, some would say, you know, kind of like capitalism kind of ruin romance in some sense. You kind of have to have clarity on what it is you really want to get specific things. And when you don't have that clarity and when you have tons of optionality, you create a really big confusion around what this is. And sometimes you need that clarity.
I think with so right now isn't it like dating and then exclusive and then boyfriend girlfriend? I think that's what I've heard.
No, it is. I don't agree with it, and
That's
I don't
what I
abide
don't
by those
either.
things. But people use those terms.
Because I don't know, like, what is what if we're exclusive? We're not dating other people, but we're not boyfriend girlfriend.
Makes no sense to me.
Makes
Yeah, that
literally
doesn't make
no
sense.
sense to me.
I don't even like give it a time of day when somebody talks like that. I'm like, okay, what do you think that means? That just means that okay, you guys are together when you're together, but if he were to slip up, he slips up. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just there's not really this
and
like,
also it's the
not
title
formed.
to other people.
Totally. Yeah.
I think that's a big thing.
definitely.
Do you
It's
think
like how
that's a
to
red
describe-
flag when people don't like immediately introduce you to their friend? Not immediately, but
Oh,
like
that's a good one.
that thing where they're talking about it with their friends. They're maybe sharing with their family, hey, I'm dating someone new. Or do you think it's person by person? Like,
Do I think that's a red flag that if they do or don't share? If they don't share.
Don't share.
It depends, right? It depends on like how the relationship the person has with their family. Like,
Yeah.
but if they're close and everything, like, depending on the time frame,
Sure.
And I know I'm like I hate to like think in these structured boxes when it comes to dating, but I do, and I oversimplify and overgeneralize, and part of that is just to kind of like create a mutual understanding of like a template to think about things through. But they're obviously not this cut and dry. They're obviously much more intricate, and they're much more fluid, and there's a lot more misunderstandings than I would like to agree with. But I just think it helps to kind of give zones on thinking about dating for most people, because some people really don't think about dating like that at all. There's like no structure to their thought process. And I find that to be detrimental for most people, because it's like a leaf. You kind of just, well, let's see what happens. And I get why people operate that way, but when you live in a place where that's, where you kind of let your heart get crushed many, many times, or put yourself out here, or be vulnerable, and it's not all these things, then you kind of have to put some structure to decision making. I just went on a rant about something else. But.
No, that's true. I mean, I think with women that can be particularly helpful, because it's like women are so emotion based and so often can be fear based because they've had their hearts broken or whatever. So then they kind of lose the plot of like, what are you doing here? What do you like? Even when you said that, a lot of women will have their list, but then they'll like someone and they'll lose it. So it is helpful, I think, whether it's friends or a coach or whatever, but to have someone that is going to kind of hold you accountable to things. Of like dating, it's like you said you wanted to only be in a relationship, but now you're not. You're in a situationship. You said you wanted someone that's this. You have this, because, I mean, we'll lose the plot, very often of like what's going, where we're headed, all of that.
Yeah. What does that structure
Totally.
look like if someone can kind of check themselves? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, the structure will essentially go, what do you want? Number one. And if you don't get there, then I don't even know how to get to step two. But if you describe what you want, general outcome, doesn't matter. If you want marriage, you want marriage. If you don't, you don't. If you want kids, you want kids. If you don't, you don't. If you want just a long-term relationship and you don't want anything past that, that's okay too. But I like to think about outcomes because it's just important factor to think about. And then once you define your outcome, you decide at that moment what the identity associated with that outcome is. I'm going to use a classic example. It doesn't apply to everybody, but let's just say it's wife. Let's say I want to be wife, right? And blanket statement this. Then how would a wife act and how would she communicate? What would she allow? What would she not allow? Would she allow 6-month situationships? Would she allow friends with benefits? What you have to kind of embrace an identity. Same with a husband or a long-term partner relationship or, something like that, where you can engulf an identity that helps decision-making easier, and how to make better, sometimes even more efficient decisions. Whereas like, of course I don't do that. It's like kind of like a mantra. That's the way I like to think about it. Like, companies have mantras and they kind of easy make decisions around this. Where it's like we run the decision making through the mantra. And it's kind of like how I think about an identity side of things to help people be like, wow, should I really?
Laughing at your just do it comments. Sorry.
Yo, thanks for picking up that joke.
What you do? What?
You said, well, companies have mantras.
Just
She
do
goes, just do it.
Dude, I need to be muzzled.
Sorry.
I swear to God.
Well-
This room's getting so hot. It's about to get fucking crazy. Whatever I say.
Just do it. Well, I think that's a slogan. I think
No, that's actually my dating mantra.
Is it
Just do
really?
it. No.
That's actually pretty good mantra.
No, it's
Here we are. Keep going.
That's great. We've learned a lot about you today.
dude, I'm very special. I'm a very special person. I was thinking about communication. I want to go back to that. You said that was the first thing, and after saying just do it, I'm a woman of communication. I'm obsessed with it. And I really think when I realize with communication, it's like the nexus point, or it's like the linchpin of any good relationship, like is being able to communicate, say your needs, speak your needs, even like say I love you, like, you know what I mean? Like you feel most connected when you're communicating with people. So in dating, and I think this is where stuff gets gray and stuff where people feel insecure and not confident and sort of lose the plot. How can women be better communicators? Does it mean that they're having to over communicate? Like, what does that mean? Because I'll just say, for me, I think before I communicate so much that I was almost over communicating where I was leading. So how do we communicate enough to feel good and to create like a safety in relationship, but not be leading?
Sure. Like, right. I don't want to overcomplicate it too, because I think that like everything, right? Like communication is nice to tennis match. Like if you're not getting that and if you're not receiving what you're giving out, then like, that can be a bit of an issue. It doesn't mean you need to over communicate either. I just think that anything is much better than none. And I think that what I see is they're not really communicating much because there's this fear of vulnerability that is associated with some kind of communication. And then they see you or they feel your interest. It's almost like afraid to show interest to somebody because of how that can feel if it's not reciprocated or received in a different way.
Yeah.
And I understand the fear. I get why it's a little fearful, especially early stages, because, I don't want to put my heart out or my ego out. Like, I don't want to take this damage. But what else is life to really be lived for at this point? Is you going to stay in your shell the whole time? And I think that it's important for women to also see other women win that do this. So I kind of tend to highlight that a lot. But like, it is important to understand, like, this girl the other day, called in and she was like, the guy I'm seeing, 3 months ago, he opened up to me emotionally. He's there, emotional, mature. Now I'm afraid to pull the trigger. I'm like, well, that's okay. Somebody else will get him. I just feel like sometimes you need a little bit of that, because what am I going to say to you to get you to convince you to? I'm not going to try to convince you of that. You're just going to do it or you're not. And then somebody else can snatch it. Maybe he's a good dude. Maybe you're letting up a good dude. And I think there's some part of that like fear that's important to have. Like even fear of lack of communication. Okay, he may bounce. That's possible. Same with vice versa too. If he doesn't communicate properly, she may be like, I don't like this and it's getting to me. Maybe not going to bounce the way he would have, but she's still going to be like turned off and maybe she'll look elsewhere. So I think there's like this healthy fear associated with that, especially early stages, because there is an unknown to how somebody's going to deal with that communication. But I'm much more of a Darwinistic approach to things. Sounds a little ridiculous, but I do kind of find that works really well to kind of reinstate, and I not necessarily around communication, but that kind of nobody really cares why you're not doing it. I know it sounds a little harsh, but I do think it's important for people to realize like it's not that big of a deal and nobody does give a shit and they're not really watching me. My friends aren't really, like all these things getting in the way. You kind of have to know that like, well, you're just going to do what you do, and if you want to be with somebody and you like them enough, you're going to do what it takes. And if you aren't, then you're going to lose the opportunity. I'm a little bit more harsher on that. But.
I think too, it gives you the answer more clearly, like faster.
Yeah.
It's like you'll get the answer if they're into it. If they don't want to do it, like you'll get the answer pretty quickly.
But that's kind of my approach. My approach is, listen, if you just communicate.
Yeah. It's like you'll figure it out.
I don't mean like, oh, tell them everything. I'm just saying if you start communicating about the things you expect. But then I think a lot of women are like, I just wanted to message you because my anxious attachment is I'm stressed out and you didn't text. Like it's like too much.
Yeah.
Agreed. So where's the medium? So what do you do? What would you tell somebody?
Talk to a therapist.
What would I tell someone?
What would you tell somebody that's like
feeling anxious
all the time? Yeah, just
you need to figure that's your own thing. What I practice with my clients is parts work. It's internal family systems. So there's parts work. There's a part of you that believes that you're going to get security from this attachment with this person, whether it's him or another person. You're going to seek that attachment, that relief outside of you. And so you have to do the work to be with that part that's anxious, self-regulate, soothe to be okay. And then you can be in true relationship, because otherwise you're never going to be in true relationship. Yeah. You're just going to be looking for the soothe or the balm for this part that's always anxious.
And I think that sending a text like that where it's like my anxious part is wanting to connect with you, whatever, just kind of almost like vomiting that information so early on in a relationship. I feel like over time, like people earn that vulnerability. And granted, I think she could be a little more someone texting that could be a bit more processed, but like I think you earn that.
I agree.
So to like just kind of dump it.
Sure.
I think it's humor until vulnerability is earned.
Yeah.
Humor and play in communication of like what it, you know what I mean? Like just being playful about it and humorous. And then vulnerability is like earned after 7 years.
Yeah. And it's true, right? Like the playfulness I feel like is left out though. That's really what it's about. Like, you know, you don't have to, it's not about, you know, oh, this is how I'm feeling because this happened to me here. It's like, you don't have to do all that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in general, like there's always this, you know, he has to know you're interested just like you have to know he's interested. And if you're not willing to give that interest, even if it's in the most playful way or playful banter, you know, I have a fear you're just going to lose out on kind of some beautiful things.
I agree. So many people are on apps. I know you give a lot of advice around dating apps. So I would love to zero in on some like best practices when you're on the dating apps.
Yeah, you know, I have a couple, but I'm not the biggest proponent of dating apps, but I understand why people use a lot. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like
Why
makes,
aren't you?
Because I think it just does the same thing that kind of like social does in some way. And in terms of consumption, I just feel like it provides, you know, you don't have like 8 gray shirts, which is already a lot. You have like 308. And it's like, how do I choose that? You know, am I always in the FOMO mode? And, you know, it just, you make like global, you know, you used to swim in ponds and now we're swimming in the ocean. It's kind of like this weird thing. And you just kind of maximize your options there. And it's paralyzing. You know, it's analysis paralysis. And
especially with Raya. You're like, this man's in South Africa.
I can make it there by Thursday.
Literally like, Dubai, huh?
Yeah, right. And then like you make it even worse for yourself. Yeah. So I typically don't, you know, like to encourage them too much. I'm fine with them. I just don't like when people make them their sole way of meeting people. It's just, then you fuck up. Then it's like, okay, I'm not going to do anything else, but I am going to be here. And then you like expect to find gold by swiping on a free app somewhere. And so that's kind of the problem. But in general, you know, I always say you really got to limit your time on these apps. Like you really got to take like, I don't know what you're currently spending on there, but you got to take your 2 hours are usually on it to like 20 minutes. And you got to pick and choose specific people and start dealing with them more intentionally. And you're going to say that most of the time, if there's already been a back and forth, they'll deal with you in the same way. And, you know, even when it comes to getting off the apps, I always say to women, you know, I get it, right? But you have to also be empathetic to the guy's perspective. You're looking at who's the best option here for you. And maybe you have a lot on there as a woman, but you also have to see his perspective, which is, I may not have as many as her, but I still have, let's call it 15, just hypothetical number. But I have 15 here, and I have to choose one out of the 15 that I want to spend my money and time on. I know it's a little superficial way to look at it, but that's really how a lot of guys are thinking about it. And sometimes you also have to stand out as a girl, as a woman on these platforms, not just wait to be chosen. I don't like that shit. I don't like it because you do the exact thing you complain about all the time, which is you give all the men the power over you, and then you get mad when they don't do what you want. So what are you supposed to do here? So I'm all about giving power back to you, and sometimes you got to take that power and do things in a nice, fun, flirty way without driving the car. So part of the answer there is I always implore women to make a little bit more of an interest to the guys they want specifically. You know, if you want this guy to take you out, then be like, hey, here's my number if you ever want to take me out. Boom. Like, you have to understand, I get why you'd see it that way, but on the other side, he doesn't get that much. He gets the same basic conversations that you always get. But if you distinguish yourself like that, he's like, oh, wow, she actually put it, okay. Most of the time, guys would do that if they're showing any interest in you.
Okay, so lately I've been giving my closet a little glow up, and honestly, Revolve has been my go-to for nearly all of it. It is just about to be the fall season, you know, and I love that whether it's a night out, a wedding, or just my everyday run around the city, but still want to look put together vibe, Revolve has me covered. I have used them throughout our tours, interview processes. It's been just an incredible place for me to get looks that I feel confident in, that really like express my style in a unique way. And I love most how easy it is to shop on Revolve. The curated edits make it so simple to find exactly what I need without endless scrolling. That's the worst. Vacation looks, concert outfits, or even just elevated basics. Plus, they seriously have everything. Over 1,200 brands and over 100,000 styles with new arrivals daily. And the recommended for you picks are actually spot on with my style. I'm kind of freaked out. It's kind of cool. My current favorites. Okay, I just want to give you like an insight into my card, like what I just got. So I got I got the cropped sweater from Fear of God Essentials. It's like this really beautiful green color, great for fall. Nice big oversized sleeves, so cute. I also got the crew sweatshirt from WAO. It's just like a very simple basic, but I think I can like dress it up, dress it down, be my like kind of chic casual that I like. Oh, and I got the new Dunk Low sneaker from Nike. It's a cacao wow and coconut milk colors. Okay, so picture like that brown and cream. It is screaming fall. I'm so excited. So I am getting all of my wardrobe pieces this fall from Revolve, and I highly recommend. Okay, you are going to discover brands on Revolve, which I have many times over. I just discovered Helsa, which I love. I love Norma Kamali. She's on there. And guess what? Best part, whether it's a weekend getaway, a big night out, or just a little style refresh, your dream wardrobe is just one click away. It is so easy to shop on Revolve. Head to revolve.com/almost30. You can shop our edit and take 15% off your first order with code almost30. Fast 2-day shipping, easy returns, easy returns, which is awesome. And it's literally the only place you need to shop from. That's revolve.com/almost30 to shop our favorites and get 15% off your first order with code almost30. Offer ends October 12th. So happy shopping.
Do you feel like if he wanted to, he would? Is true.
Yeah, I mean, I had so many conversations. And I feel like yeah, but there's always a caveat to it. Like kind of like I was saying earlier. It's like yes, if he wanted to, he would. But like, what's going to make him want to when he doesn't know you? You have to. You gotta switch that up. It's like sure, yes, if he wanted to, but like, are you making it easier for him to want to? Are you making it harder? And that's where I think that it's like a misused term. It's like when girls throw out narcissism, and it's just like if he wanted to, he would. It's just a way to alleviate yourself from doing anything.
So true.
I understand the general premise is true, but there's so many nuances here that you're erasing accountability from yourself, and that's not okay because you're going to start to meet a lot of punks that are just going to do things.
Dude,
they're going to just keep coming after you because even if you're not reciprocating, they're still going to keep coming. Of course, they're going to find those dudes, but the guys you want, most of them are really not going to do that. Because they also have options too. They're not going to play and dick around with you and your little avoidance ass attitude. And I know I'm being harsh right now, but I'm trying to highlight that point where most people that use that over and over again are kind of like, all right, we get it.
Yeah.
It's true. If he wanted to, he would. But what are you doing to help him want to?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No one's a mind reader. No, it's like,
we've gotten to this place. It's so funny. Now we're having this conversation. We've gotten to this place of like this really weird, divisive men versus women in the dating side, and it just doesn't help. It doesn't help people get what they want. And what happens is, what I tend to see is like, it's all supportive community over here until somebody gets what they want, and they're out the group now.
Say more.
Like the group chats, the friend groups, the encouragement of like, avoid him, leave that alone.
I know.
Girl, it wasn't you, it was him. It's always this, and I understand that. It's a good empowerment system to like make people feel better about themselves. But in some sense, you're doing a very bad disservice, when it's blind in that capacity. So sometimes they need a little bit of a check in the right direction. Because again, I think it all goes back to like taking your power back. And part of taking your power back, I think specifically as a woman in today's dating, is not always giving it over to the guy, because they always do.
what does that mean?
That just means it's always up to him. He did this. He didn't reach out to me. He didn't want to commit to me. He hasn't committed to me in 2 months. So okay, well, did you make it a requirement? No. Okay, so what are you supposed to do now? It's like it's always this. He didn't. He's supposed to. My friends told me he's supposed to. He's always supposed to, and I get where you're coming from, but sometimes you got to make things a requirement if that's what you want.
How would you have that conversation?
Which one specifically?
Of like, I want commitment. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I say that all the time. Like, I think that like once it gets past a certain point, when it comes to commitment, like I get, he should. Okay, I get you. But let's just say you've been rocking along. Everything's been kind of girlfriend, boyfriendy, but he doesn't ask you to be his girlfriend. Because he might just want to assume that you guys are already that. He might just be that in that place. So he might not think about relationships in the same way that you do, where you're looking for that, and that. But if you don't voice that kind of requirement, what do you expect him to just like understand exactly what you mean by that? He's already getting girlfriend. Like what would change in his life? Like he doesn't have this thing. Like you're already kind of my girlfriend. Like am I supposed to get on my knee and ask you to be my girlfriend? So I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but you do want to get to a level where you can communicate in a way to do that. But essentially just be like, hey, listen, things have been going great. I really like where this is going, but going forward and moving forward, I am looking for commitment. And if that's not something you're willing to give or the moment you can give it in, no problem. I totally get it. But that's what I'm going to need in order to move forward. Very calm, very peaceful. You weren't like hating like, oh, I need this to happen or I would, it's just the way it's discussed. And if he says, well, I don't really know, then you know the answer. If he says, yeah, of course, no problem. I didn't really think that was such a big, then yeah. That's how I think about it.
And I think the part of that, and if not, it's no problem.
Yeah.
It's like an interesting internalized confidence that you kind of have to work on before you even get into these situations.
But that I 100% agree. 100% agree. But that's that right there. Like that,
I'm good no matter what.
I would do that as an out though, to be avoidant. I bet if you don't want, it's no problem. Because I'd be like, oh,
Sure.
Right. But the way you're saying it and the way I think that you would want someone to embody it is like, truly, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like if you're not wanting to commit, that's actually helping me out because now I know your truth and we don't have to proceed. Now I can actually make a decision moving forward that's in our best interest rather than just kind of like floating on what's not being said.
Yeah, I think it's like a subtle little confidence. And I also think that like, yeah, it is kind of like a giving an out. But I also think that's important because you're giving him a reason to not want to hide it anymore. If he doesn't want to, you're just saying, okay, it's like less pressure him to say, you know what, you're right. I actually don't. Like that right there, that little caveat made him feel relaxed enough in context where he would be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. Like, because he knows you're not going to like lash at his throat or nothing.
Yeah.
So there's something about that that's kind of like alleviating the room. That's why I add that little piece in because I think that's important.
What about
have you ever had to do that, Lindsay?
what?
Ask for commitment?
Ask for commitment. No, because when I was like in those like situationships for so long in my 20s, like I knew in my heart of hearts that they didn't want to commit, so I never asked.
Yeah, that's a good.
With
That's
my
actually a
now
good point. If you're
husband.
scared to even ask, that might be the answer.
Yeah, it was
It's a
actually
good one.
interesting with Sean because we knew each other from back in the day, but didn't start dating until like 2019 when we reconnected. And he had just gotten out of a relationship, and I actually said to him, I was like, if you need a moment. Because I know you just broke up with like someone he had been in a relationship with for almost 2 years. I was like, that's totally fine. But I was like, I know like we're meant to be together. So like I'm here. It wasn't I'll be here forever. It was more like if you need a moment because I can see you processing the fact that I'm back in your life and this is kind of trippy. So that was interesting. I'd never done that before.
Right. But that kind of phrase and statement could have been like the single most empowering thing for him to be like, she's so great. You know what I mean? Like I really do
Or
believe
just
that.
like I think I had gotten to the point I remember a few months prior to reconnecting with him. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. If I meet my person, if I don't, like I just been single for so long, and I was like, I love myself. Honestly, finally.
But that's a kind of confidence that a guy would like actually because it shows it's like, hey, listen, I want this.
Yeah.
But if you need a second, you need a second. Like that, I don't know why. Just a lot of guys would really find that relieving.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a freedom and a relief I think men feel when a woman is like regulated and gives up, like has that type of thing, like, and speaks to them a little bit more plainly of like, hey, we're good. Like, you know what I mean? There's like a
it makes him even want you more in some way because there's this thing about you that, he finds also very desirable.
Yeah.
It's like a trait in somebody that's always desirable when like you don't need, but like, of course I desire it.
Yeah.
But when you come off like, it's like, I need to close the deal. It's
like,
that's one thing that I know a lot of women don't actually do that, but they talk about it to me like that. It's like, how do I get him to commit? I'm like, get him to commit. Like, if this isn't a seamless conversation, you're done.
I know.
You're hooked up.
Honestly.
What are we talking about? Get him to commit? This isn't a contract, bro. Not slide over a contract and say, sign the deal. Like, he's not signing this deal. So,
What do you think about sex during the dating, courting process?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't think I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what part?
Open-ended question. In his early dating days,
Yeah.
Do you like
I
it?
was a girl that used it as a calling card. I said, "Let me show you how amazing I am," and then you get dickmatized in some situations or whatever, and you get usually one person gets really attached. So, what are your thoughts? Should you hold off?
It's a good question, actually. Like, I just feel like, my original thought is I don't think sex can keep a guy, and I don't think it can get his interest in reality. I think it can get his interest for the things that maybe you don't want him to get you don't want to get his interest for. But I don't think it's like a lever point. And I know a lot of women actually think that it is, but once they happens, they feel like they lost leverage. But I always have one rule. My rule when it comes to sex, especially early stage, is essentially, listen, if you don't sleep with any man unless you've gotten to a point where if this were to fall apart, you'd be okay with it. That really just means that you've made a decision as a grown consenting adult to do what you want to do because you wanted to do it. If you don't feel that way about this guy, that if it were to fall, that you'd be okay, you don't sleep with him. Because nobody is going to feel later on what you're going to feel. You're going to feel like, damn, I got played. He did this to me. He led me on. No. There's none of that conversation. You don't sleep with him then. If you can't deal with it, potentially going the other way. It's always a potential.
Yeah.
It's always a possibility. That's it. And I don't like to use the number rule, like 5 before dates, 8 dates. I don't buy it. I can understand the logic behind it, why you would say, well, the longer you wait, the more he's invested. I'm like, well, that's not really true. Like in some way, yes. But in other ways, there are certain types of guys that will wait it out long enough and say, oh, she's playing with me? Okay.
I'm done.
I'll play for a little bit. Once I am leaving.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that.
Then there are, but I'm not saying it's the majority, but if they feel played with, there are guys that will be like, okay, she feels like she could play with me.
Yeah.
That's so dark.
Because the thing, from a guy's standpoint.
Okay, I understand, but let me just be sure. So if you don't have sex with them, that's playing with them?
Well, if we're talking about over 10, 20 days, yeah, I mean, depending on the time frame. If there's yes, definitely.
Wow.
Because a guy, listen.
But he's being played with because he's going.
It has to come up in conversation. Don't you agree? Like where it's like,
oh, I love consent.
So we're not, it's like we're adults, we're kind of dating, and the fact that we haven't had sex is definitely on everyone's mind. Don't you feel like that?
Yes, but I know that a lot of women typically tend to use the sex thing as like a leverage point, like I was saying.
I agree. I totally agree.
But the problem with that is, which is not, I guess it's not necessarily a problem. I'm all for it, right? It's fine. But when you decide to play the game of like longevity, you have to understand the guy's standpoint. Some will opt out and some will say, I'm just not, because a lot of guys date for intimacy. If there's no intimacy, no guy's dating any girl, period. End of story. They don't like you that much. They like you. But if intimacy is not on the table, there's no way. Yeah. He has to have some possibility of intimacy at some point. At some point. If that's off the table.
I just love it. I'm like, I'm fun to be around.
Listen, you definitely are. But for a guy, dating is money.
For sure.
And you have to understand part of that. So, like, if I ask for a woman, I say, okay, fine. No problem. You don't want to sleep. I totally understand. You shouldn't have to sleep with any man, of course. You shouldn't even desire it. But the point is, if that were the case, okay, you could pay for the dates until it's time. And of course, none of them would accept that. But the point is,
don't be.
The point is, of course, it's a part of the conversation of the deal. That's the whole point. If it's not on the table, then like why would he keep just going on just because like he likes spending time with you? But you're not thinking about it from his standpoint. That's always a main.
You're not
desire.
thinking about blue balls. You don't know what this is like.
Well, that too. That too.
I'm just kidding.
But I don't think a guy should be driven by sex in that capacity.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, long enough when you almost feels like you're playing the game. Some guys will be like, all right, I feel like I'm being played with.
Yeah, or like friend zone probably.
Or like friend zone. But
Yeah.
I think many guys that kind of have good character wouldn't even get to that point. They'd be like, if I feel played with, I'm just.
Yeah, or I'm taking advantage of, or I feel like I see that a lot.
But many girls wouldn't do that with guys they really like, I guess is my ultimate point. Unless they're like doing abstinence, and that's okay too, but just communicate it.
Yeah, right. Right. What's one thing you wish women knew about men?
I think they do know. I just think that it's kind of gotten blinded that like men care so deeply about women that I just don't think that they really think about it that way. I think that guys will start to, guys will do almost anything, especially for the women that they really like. And I just don't think that's like such a concept that they see. I think when a lot of women talk about men, they talk about the men they don't like, and like the guys, they're like the archetype. But like most guys are willing to like do so much for you. And so I think that's a main one that I would say.
Yeah.
Just in general, like I just think that guys care so deeply about a lot of women. Like, I just think that they would die for you, and I just don't think that's like such a level that's communicated. I know it's like the divisiveness of social doesn't make that message clear, but I think for most guys, when they like a girl, they will really go above and beyond.
I agree.
Do you feel like, I know your audience is mostly women, but whether it's your friends or just men you meet in community, do you feel like men are interested in, like, generally speaking, becoming their best selves so that they can be in relationship and like have the tools and be in healthy relationships? Do you feel like women are kind of surpassing them in some way? What is your read on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's like, I think that the general kind of feel out here right now is that women have surpassed men in that element. And I wouldn't disagree with that. But I think it's gotten a little bit overplayed in terms of how it's communicated.
Yeah.
I agree with you that there's a lot of guys, there are a lot of areas that guys can improve on, but I think the methods in which they do it are not in alignment with the way that maybe the methods that a lot of women do it. And I think that, like in general, therapy, right? Which I'm all very much for. It's just a lot of guys don't get a lot from going to therapy and putting all their stuff on the table. Whereas a lot of girls are like, well, if he hasn't been to therapy, that's a no. I'm like, well, you kind of, it depends on how you're quantifying the self-improvement development realm. But I wouldn't say that, I would say that a lot of guys right now I have seen more opting out of proactive dating tool development. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I do see that. So I do think that women are a little bit more, but it's gotten a little bit overplayed where social's created a different world for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Depending on how we're quantifying, like, what that improvement looks like. Like, what is it? Can you give us examples?
Of improvement with men?
Or both?
Yeah. I think my thing's always communication, like the ability to communicate, the ability to have congruency between your inner world and what you're speaking and how you are energetically. So this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm able to communicate. So that's like the biggest thing of that shows growth for me. Because I think too, a lot of men, I love men, but a lot of men haven't been socialized as much to communicate as much as women have. Like, I'm communicating for 12 hours a day. I'm talking to women about emotions for fucking 8 hours a day. So it's just very easy for me to find language, to use language to communicate how I'm feeling or whatever. But men haven't really been given that chance as much. So for me, that's like one of the biggest signs of growth. It doesn't need to be like deeply spiritual or like into personal growth, but you have to be able to have like a deep sense of self and then some sort of like internalized anchor or foundation for how you live your life. Like, what is the form that you live your life? And then communication, I think. What's yours?
I think for me, it's like that discipline and commitment to their own growth in their own way. So that could look very different from me.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. They don't need to be going to the healers and the therapists and the this like I'm doing. But I think to have an interest in that and cultivating just a sense of self and knowing themselves better and better as if we're in a relationship, like as we evolve, like I think that is very attractive to me and just makes me feel safe in a way.
Self-awareness too.
Yeah, self-awareness. I
I
definitely.
think that's like a baseline in every relationship I have is self-awareness.
But I also, I'm just thinking about men. I'm like, okay, so what is stopping them? Because I feel like they're so quick to like optimize for like work, for intramural basketball, like
So
you know
real.
what I mean?
So
like,
real. Their
like-
fantasy football team is like fully
to
set.
invest in that stuff. And so when it comes to investing in themselves in that like emotional capacity way, or like just having that understanding of how they show up to relationships, knowing that relationships are like, especially the person you end up marrying is one of the most important decisions of your life.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me how that's kind of not the first one of the first things they.
Well, I feel like from an
invest in.
evolutionary perspective, women have been valued based on their ability to connect in community. So it's like that's our currency is
totally,
community and
totally.
connection. And I think men are still valued mostly for their success.
Yeah.
So it's like they're
100%.
still being, that's like, even women prioritize men who make more money or, you know what I mean? Whatever. So until I think that currency would shift, men probably don't see a true deep reason or need to be as adept as us in that way.
And in some capacity, not all, but I agree with you. I just think in some capacity, they even get penalized for it.
Say, okay.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I understand that the desire is for the guy to really be in touch with his emotions and open up to a point. But I would tell you that they're not really conditioned to even do that with their friends.
I agree.
Like, they don't sit with their friends facing each other. Like, we don't do this. We would do this, and we would talk like this.
For sure.
I wouldn't be like, so tell me.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Totally.
Like, there's a superficial lens
There's a
amongst
game
like,
on, there's chips on the table.
Yeah, literally.
But we're talking deep shit.
yeah, because there's always like a weird tension, with guys.
It's always,
where like,
it's always kind of gay.
It's, but it could be like direct in a
always
weird
homoerotic.
way. It could be like direct in a weird way with guys. So they're not really conditioned to open up about
For
like
sure.
the details of their day. They're like, I don't give a fuck about your
Guys
day,
talk
man.
macro, women talk micro.
Yeah. Guys are like, so, and sometimes guys just like want to bullshit. They don't really want to get down. It's like, your one guy friend just open up about it. You're like, all right, man, relax. So, like get over it. It's just this weird conditioning.
But I also think we could use a little of that in
I
our
agree.
circles, and then you guys can use a little of our
agree,
juice in your
100%.
circles.
Totally agree, by the way.
I
Totally
agree. I agree.
I should be like, shut the fuck up. You talked about that. You know what I mean?
No,
Like-
for sure.
Like even one of my best friends, I'm not going to name my best friend, who's has a little more of like some feminine trait to him. That's part of the reason why he's my best friend, because I'm so not this thing. And there's something I grabbed from like, wow, he's actually like in college, he got the most girls ever. And I was like, holy shit. Now, for, different reasons and for different things, but like the point being, he was just, I think it depends, right? It depends on like your archetype of guy you're talking about. It depends on a variety of factors. Like, he's a 6'3" fucking like long-haired Spaniard dude. You know what I mean? So you have the traits obviously that would make sense why you can be vulnerable and nobody's gonna be like, they'll give you a pass on it, no problem.
Totally.
Like, the 6'5" dude can get away with a lot more than the 5'6" guy would get away with. Like, it's just not even comparing.
Yeah.
So that matters, right? And sometimes guys don't feel as comfortable or confident to be like, this is how I felt today and this is what I was going through, but we're about past it now. They just don't feel that because they know that at some point maybe you feel a little unsafe about I can't be your rock because now I put you in the rock position. So there's this thing where I think that's what I meant by the conditioning of a lot of guys. They get a little conditioned or negatively rewarded when they start to open up because they get the sense from the woman that she's like doubting him.
Yeah, I agree.
I know it sounds weird.
No,
but
it's
I
true.
think
It's
so.
real.
I know
It's true and it's real.
Exactly
And she's
what you
like,
mean.
wow, I thought he was the rock.
No, it's so real.
He can't be
It's
the
so
rock
real.
anymore. What do I have to look for my next rock?
Anytime your man gets sick, I'm like, this ain't it.
What a,
He needs me right
pussy.
now. I'm just kidding.
He's
Yeah.
sick?
No,
Oh,
for
God.
real.
I dated a girl a while ago, and I used to take, like, by the way, I put the shower on a little hot. Like, it wasn't even hot. And she was like, what a pussy. You're so hot. I was like, it's warm. She was like, you don't take cold showers? I was like, no.
You're like, what do you think I am?
nerve.
You're like Jocko Willink. I called
fucking
my
nerve.
ex a pussy, I think like 2 years in, and I don't think it was ever the
recovered?
same. Yeah, honestly. I was like, I'm noted. Never call him a pussy.
Yeah, then he definitely feels like you snipped him.
Yeah, that just was like a different era of me. A different era of me.
Hilarious.
Okay, this is very fun. I think the last question for me is
What questions do you want to ask us?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot.
All right, go.
All right, what are the biggest problems that men are facing in dating? You guys see?
Okay, that's a great question. I think men are overwhelmed with the surface level options. There's a lot of beautiful women that are nice and successful. I think differentiating them and deciding which one you're going to go deep with is hard for a man. Is that true?
Are you asking me? Are you?
I would say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish your thought.
I think that's, and
I think
then
we can rattle.
I think also too, what is men in dating? I do think women want commitment so much. I think women want to get the sign the deal, close the deal too soon, and they feel a lot of pressure. And I think men feel a lot of pressure to be very successful. and make a lot of money. And so they are like, how do I balance being successful and making money with being in relationship? And so they don't really know if they can do both. And they're always, I think men's biggest fear is disappointing women. And so it's like, how do I be doing that without disappointing her? That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a big one, I think, with just the trajectory of success and pursuing what they want to pursue career-wise, but then also knowing that, you know, being in relationship is going to be an important part of their life. But I think they have the luxury, because they're men, they don't have the ticking time bomb inside of them. They, they can wait. They can wait a little longer. And so the settling down thing, I think a lot of men kind of put off. And then I do think men, at least the men that I know, are really genuinely looking for, like, I think now in this day and age, there's so many, it sounds like really bad because we're in this world, but there's a lot of like influencer face, they're online. And I think it's like men are looking at women online, and so they're like, oh, I think I want that. And then they're meeting women in person and they're not that, but they don't really want that in a way. Like there's kind of this weird thing happening where there's the fantasy and then what they really want. And I don't know if they've come to like full digestion of what that actually means for them in pursuing women.
Yeah.
What do you feel about what we said?
I think they're all pretty accurate. I'm just curious what you thought about it, you know. I don't think that men have as many options as women think they do.
Oh, that's interesting.
At all, actually. I think there's like a small group of men that most women tend to think about when they think. When I say man, most women are like, they think of like the guy that's like, the guys that they would want to date.
Right.
Fair.
Right.
Totally
Like
get
Michael
that.
B. Jordan.
Yeah, you're like, Michael B. Jordan like has his selection. I'm like, yeah.
I know. And it's like, you're like,
know.
but Nick down the street. Not everybody.
Nick down the street can't even get a DM back.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, I think sometimes people think that it's the same on the other side, and it's definitely not. But I can understand why. And most of the stuff is true. I think that guys have this, they do have this feel and pressure to be productive because that gets them to a place where they can actually kind of like choose in some way, where they've never had that, by the way. Like, the 20s guy, he doesn't have it from a committable standpoint. So when he does get to the point, whether it's 34 or whether it's 32 or whether it's 38, whatever it is, when he does get to that point, he is a little more or less likely to commit because of that reason. You know, he actually, for the first time, for most time, especially in a major city like New York, he has options for commitment that he didn't have at 26.
Interesting.
Because the 26-year-old was dating a 31-year-old dude or whatever it was.
That's interesting.
And that kind of moves its way up. So the phase of life matters. That's why when I hear a lot of women say that they're dating a guy 15 years younger than them, I have no issue with that. The only problem is the expectations that come along with, is he ready for the phase of life you're ready in? And phase of life matters so much. So when I'm just saying that when I see guys and they shift to, once they hit their mid-30s in a place like New York or another city, they get to a point where they're desired by the 26-year-old and the 35-year-old. So you have this thing where they didn't have at 26. Like they weren't able to even date the 35-year-old. Maybe sleep with her for a night, but that was it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get it. They wouldn't like a commitment candidate, you know? So I think that's worth mentioning, is my point, for women to think about it in a way of like, okay, I can understand maybe. But I think both have to really understand. I think men need to really understand women a little bit better, you know? Early stage and beyond. Like I really, past date 3, I know this is the marker of date 3, but like even just to get to the first date, you know, they're a little bit more awkward. They're not approaching women. They don't know how to say hi to them and everything else. And I get that because there is also on the other side of it, there is a fear that this girl is like, you know, well, she's going to put me on blast. She's going to make a TikTok about me. I know it sounds ridiculous to women. They're like, no, she wouldn't. I mean, his feed is the same as yours. Like, it's not like he still sees that shit. And he's like, and it makes him less comfortable doing it. That's all.
I feel like there's been a resurgence of men approaching people.
Is there?
I feel like that. I feel like
How often do you get approached?
I do a lot. I do a lot lately because I'm just really open and nice. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. It's fun.
Are you gonna ask me?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly.
Never.
You were not. No.
I'm like not in spaces and places. I think I smell married. I think I have a child. Like
Yeah.
it's different.
They look down at the left hand. They're like, okay.
Yeah. I guess like it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
What's up with women
think it's
looking
an
at
energy
guys' rings?
I've never done that in my whole life. I need
But-
to do that, but I don't.
What is it? I want your opinion on that. Like, what is the attraction to married men?
Oh, I do not have that at
Maybe
all.
not you guys, but in general, like there's like a
What
thing.
could it be?
You know, like
I
will
think
there
they,
be
they
like,
see that he can commit and he's a good man and they want
right,
that.
Right.
So they want the marriage. You know, so it's like they see that and they.
Oh, I don't think so at all.
I have too much. I would feel too guilty to ever do that. I would be like,
Yeah.
But would you?
I don't want that karma.
But would you still be that attracted to him if he like cheated on his wife with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, would you want to pursue the married man? Is that what you're asking?
I
Yeah,
think
no, I
there's
think
like
women get more attracted to men that are married.
Yeah, there's like a weird
Yeah,
thing about
yeah,
married guys,
yeah.
like guys
I
with
see.
kids or guys with things. Like there's something that
I
like
see.
A guy with
yeah.
going after a guy with kids is so dark.
Yeah, it's
Like
very
what a
deep.
I
dark
see it.
life.
I know. I don't.
Oh, I know. I have like
But I see the attraction is what you're saying. Like being more attracted
Yeah.
to that.
yeah.
Like there's something. Does it speak stability? Like what is about it? That's,
I think it's like he's done it already. I do think women have the deep desire to be chosen. And so that desire to be chosen will lead them to do things. And I actually did this for a little bit where I was like, I wasn't ready to be in a relationship, but I was dating men that are unavailable. And I was like, oh, the barrier for like me being chosen was greater. Like one guy that had kids, he wasn't married, had kids, didn't want more kids. I want kids. So I would still dating him. And that would be a barrier for him to be like, I want kids now. So I had that in there. It was like, he would love me if he chose to have children with me. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, and so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I think that thing would be like, he would love me if he left, for them. He would love me if he left the relationship, chose me over his wife, chose me over this. Like, the amount of choosing that he would have to do would then prove that I'm worthy of being chosen.
Sure.
So it just like creates a further thing for it,
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Because a lot of your questions are women with relationships.
Yeah.
They're like he's in a relationship, but he doesn't seem happy. What should I do? It's so unreal. You're like, what?
But you
Yeah.
can easily get into those delusional states. Do you know what I mean? Where you're just like, I know he's unhappy. I think he's going to leave him for me. Like, what? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's real.
Where you forget
It's real.
how self-abandoning
Also, this is
that is.
yes, and you then get this is the whole thing. Then you get older, and you're like, if my man was talking to another woman about our relationship, I'm complete.
Yeah.
There's what kind of relationship are you and your man's talking to another woman about how bad your relationship is?
Yeah.
It's a no for me. What do you have going on? What can our community look forward to seeing from you? Where can they find you?
Yeah. First off, thank you guys for having me on.
So
Number one.
fun.
So I really appreciate that. Number two, I'm having an event October 9th. Right now, at the moment, it's at Somewhere Nowhere.
Okay, cool.
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 But yeah, if they're interested in attending the event, it's going to be a little bit more like my TikTok show
Fun.
in some capacity. Q&A, people on stage, having a good time.
Fun.
Just you can follow along at BennyInc.com. I'm sorry, Benny Inc. on TikTok and Instagram.
Okay, cool. Can't wait.
BNNYINC.
I'm excited for that. Okay, guys. Good luck out there. We love you. Talk, talk.
We love you. Bye.
Goodbye.
You're the best, Benny. We love you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we will see you at your event on October 9th at Somewhere Nowhere. You can get tickets at the link in our show notes. And thank you all for listening. We just appreciate you sharing this episode or any other episode that you love. It really helps us to grow.
Yeah, sending it to a friend is such a heartfelt thing. Whenever people send me episodes of something, it's such a fun way to connect. So we love that you guys share. Thank you for writing a review and rating Almost 30 and for following us on Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at It's Krista.
And I'm at Lindsay Simsick. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.